Making stuff and jacked up. Making stuff and jacked up.
So much.
Making stuff and jacked up. Making stuff and jacked up.
Let it go. He said, get out of the way.
Jacked up.
Play my music.
Could just eat it. Put it right on my gums.
So much.
Someone's killing these beats now, trust me.
You're listening to Meadows and Makers podcast.
With Jack Dub and making stuff. Peace.
Good afternoon, good evening, everyone, whatever the case may be, wherever you are in the world. And welcome to a new week of the Meadows and Makers podcast here on MSP Waves. And it is a beautiful day where I am, and I hope you all are having a beautiful day as well. So, the show and some housekeeping up front. The disclaimer that the views and opinions of myself and my guests on this show are my own and those of my guests. And if you have any complaints or issues, please send them my way. And don't bother they do not reflect on the Meadows Support Project and the fine people that keep this thing going around here. So just send them my way. I got a complaints box. So great to see you guys again this week, and looks like everybody's doing good out there. So Peachy Mod, we got Ron Down, we got Sunravel Me here so far. Appreciate you guys being here. So the motto that I like to carry forward with the show and the theme of this show is all about trying to live more resiliently and being more self-sufficient in our lives, and trying to talk to people and that are out there doing that kind of thing. You know, the people that are makers, doers, homesteaders, farmers, stuff like that. So today I got on a guest that you guys are pretty much all familiar with, but I get to talk to her kind of one-on-one for the first time. So we're gonna have a cool little conversation and just kind of get to know Breeze a little bit better here. And so without further ado, let me do my motto. I will be an inextinguishable light of possibilities for myself and others. And so just get that out there. I put that out there as a thing up front. So without further ado, today's guest is Breeze. So, AKA Claudette, how are you doing today?
Hey, I'm very well. And yourself?
I am doing just dandy. I'm in the middle of a house move and everything like that. So I am, trying to get all those affairs in order. So it's going well though. I just got all my bills canceled and all that kind of stuff, and on the last legs of getting the rest of my furniture out of the house. So it's coming down to the wire. So I'm getting happy about that.
Certainly sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely. So so Breeze, you are kind of a jack of all trades. You've got your hands in a little bit of everything. So yeah, maybe tell me a little bit about all the stuff that you do, and a little bit about your background. How did you run a farm there in South Africa, right?
Yeah, I do. It's a family farm. We've been working the land here for, well, close to 40 years. It's a self-sustainable mango farm. Yeah, so the mangoes, and we do some cash crops in between. We've got some goats, and then everything for the house gets produced on the farm property. So everything we eat, we grow, which is absolutely amazing.
Wow. You're fully 100% eat everything off the land, huh?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. That's like the big goal that, a lot of the people that do permaculture and, these homesteader types, the people I follow, a lot of their goals, they always just say like, just try to start with, growing 50% and just try to keep growing more and more as time goes on. But to be at a point where you can grow everything that you need is that's a really great achievement.
It really is, but it goes hand in hand with a lot of hard work and time and dedication. I think for everyone that knows me would know that I get pretty much little to no sleep, which is fine because insomnia plays a big role there. But that then gives me time in the evenings to spend some time on the blockchain and do some posts, and because that's something that I've always enjoyed. As for the farm work, that is pretty much a 24/7 job.
Yeah, absolutely. And, just my foray in doing it, I had a little urban backyard plot, and I had aquaponics going, and then I had laid some stuff out in the raised beds and things like that, just getting started with it, doing wood chips and getting I pretty much had all my backyard planted out at one point in time. But it is a lot, like, I think if you set it up well in the beginning, it's not as bad, but if you don't get the right setup going, then it's a pain.
It really, really is. But I think one of the great points, and this is something that I've only recently got back to with regards to the farming and producing everything from scratch, is getting back to a bartering system, which I find absolutely great. And everyone thinks that the world revolves around money, and to a certain extent it probably does. But getting the community a little bit more involved in bartering for products that they have that I don't have, or things like that, has really become an intricate part of my daily life, if I can put it that way. And that's been a fun journey to go on, because initially people aren't open to going back to the old ways. But once they see the benefits of that, and not working through the corporate system, which is really at the end of the day just screwing us, they do start becoming more open to that. So I'm slowly but surely building a community and expanding that, working on a bartering trade, and that's been working out very well for me.
That's excellent. That is it's something that I also am leaning towards myself, and trying to do as many things outside of the traditional system as possible through through counter markets, doing barters, trades, cryptocurrencies, precious metals, things like that, and trying to stay out of the fiat system as much as possible. So it's really cool, and building that network is there are a lot of people out there that want to do that I've been finding that would like to do that kind of stuff. So it's growing in popularity, at least in my circles, I guess.
Well, it certainly is growing, yeah, too, but it is a slow process at the same time. So we just have to be patient. But I do believe, in all honesty, that it is the way forward.
Yeah, I think so, and especially with like skills and things like that. Like if somebody can do a project for you or something in return for some of the things that you're growing, especially, I think. For the longest time, I've definitely seen that going into the future, the farmers are going to be okay. I mean, but there's so many people that have lost so many skills in these times that the system is so fragile, it seems, and it's it could take one thing and then you're going to need to have some skills to be able to try to not depend on the system as it stands.
There's truth in what you're saying. The system is very fragile, but what is even more fragile than that is the people's belief in their own abilities. I've encountered over the past few years so many things that I would, under normal circumstances, just shrug and think to myself, I can't do that. But as soon as you're placed in a position where you have to do that, life becomes, life shows you that you can. And slowly but steadily, you grow in your own skill set. And there's so much to learn from people that's been doing this for a while. And we tend to neglect our elders. I've recently made a new friend. He's about 80 years old. I sit around having tea with him and walking in his garden. He's absolutely fantastic, but such a wealth of knowledge and wisdom when it comes to skills and ways of doing things. It fascinates me every day that I go to visit him.
Yeah, we talked about that a little bit before the show, and we kind of had that commonality there about You don't tell me don't you tell me I can't do something, because it'll make me want to do it even harder. But yeah, it is fascinating. My grandfather, he was the people are just kind of made out of different metal. It's like nowadays it's people struggle to even fathom, like, the guy had 12 kids and he built his own house. He always kept a garden. It was just like, the dude was a machine. And yeah, if our Wi-Fi goes out now, we're all crying.
I'm at the point where if the Wi-Fi dies, I'll miss the blockchain, I'll miss Discord, but I'll be okay with it. I don't see it as a dismal point of no return. I actually quite like the idea of it.
Yeah, I saw that your recent post there. You said that you had some computer trouble, so you were down for a little bit from the internet, huh?
Yeah, you know what? I can stitch up a goat. I can do a lot of things that I think the average person would shy away from. But when it comes to technical bullshit, I struggle a little bit still, but I'll learn.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. There's always helpful people around on the Discord and stuff too that I've found. So yeah.
Well, it doesn't help if you can't get onto Discord.
Yeah, that's true. So that's cool. It's neat seeing all the wildlife and all the stuff that you have going around you, because you're in a place that I looked at. It's Limpopo and you're right in the thick of Africa, then, huh?
Yeah, we are. We are in the heart of Africa. We are on the borders of a lot of African countries that we're surrounded with. Um, and it's just such a beautiful place. I mean, we all know that South Africa has got its ups and downs when it comes to politics, but that doesn't weigh up to a quarter of the beauty and everything that we're surrounded with every day.
I bet. Yeah, it said that you guys the name Limpopo means something about waterfalls or something like abundance in waterfalls or something like that.
Yeah, and the town closest to the farm is called Zenin, which directly translates to a basket of fruits or abundance of fruits. Um, it's a lovely subtropical climate that verges on the African bushveld. So it is truly the best of both worlds.
Oh wow, very cool. So your growing season, you can just is it year round or do you have seasons?
Well, we choose to see it as two seasons. We've got about 9 months of summer, 10 maybe, and then 2 months of cold, which is about 22 degrees Celsius.
Okay.
And that's for me as close to hypothermia. So.
Yeah. I'm Alabama in the States. It's almost similar. We have maybe a little bit more cold, but maybe about 3 months of cold, real cold. But yeah, I feel your pain. I feel your pain. Hot and muggy, can be hot and muggy. So yeah, you do a little bit of everything. So one of the recent things that I saw that you're doing, and one of the things I really wanted to talk to you about was your propagation. You had a big order for propagating several pomegranate trees, huh?
Yeah. Well, it rooted out of. I started seeing a lot. We had a lot of medicinal indigenous plants in the area, and because of their uses, they've been eradicated out of great parts of the country. And so I started propagating some of these medicinal plants as well as commercial plants with medicinal properties that's lesser known. And I started like a know your garden, grow your health kind of nursery just from my doorstep. And then from that, I got approached by a local farmer. Well, he's about 40 k's away from here. And he had a grenadilla orchard or passion fruit orchard, rather. And he had asked me to propagate some plants for him from the strongest stems. And then we got to speaking, and he said, well, he also is looking into putting in a few hectares of pomegranates. And the gestation period or the growing period before gestation on the plant can occur is, I think, 5 to 7 years on a pomegranate tree if you grow it from seeds. So I said, well, why don't you propagate that too? And so he's very eager to get started on that. And yeah, it should be initially between 800 and 1,000 trees, and then we'll take it from there.
Wow. So are you taking cuttings, I guess, of each one of these trees? And what's that process like of making those propagations?
Yeah, it's actually quite a simple process. It is all in knowing where to cut and how to cut the plants. Different plants, different lengths. Like the pomegranate, for example, you'd have to cut into the hardwood, pretty much between two side growth nodes at a 45-degree angle. I do have some rooting supplements. I don't normally make use of it, but for better efficiency and because it's for agricultural purposes, I am going to make use of that for the pomegranates to get them to root a little bit faster and stronger. but yeah, basically it's just a time consuming process more than anything else. Um, it's still going to take a lot less time than growing from seed, though.
Yeah. Yeah, it's something that I always struggle with is getting the cuttings to work right. I guess I guess the past few times I've tried it, it's yeah, I've always come up short on it. So, um, is there any special thing like you have to make sure that your blade is really sharp and really sterile? I guess is a big issue too.
Well, sterile. I'm not too peculiar on that.
Okay.
I'm not, bleaching my blades or anything in my spare time.
Yeah.
But a sharp blade does come in handy because you don't want to break the plant cells, and you don't want to pinch it off. You just want a straight cut. The reason
Okay.
why you cut it at about a 45-degree angle when you do the cuttings is to maximize the absorption space.
Okay.
Of the xylophytes, I think is the English word, xylophyta, of the plant itself, so that it can root easier and absorb more of the water and the supplements from the ground. And then another thing that I found is just knowing what your plant needs, and then working that into the soil in the right mixture. I've been getting a lot of cow manure, chicken manure, stuff like that, producing all my own composts, producing all my own plant feeds at this stage. Um, and then, just getting the mixture right in the soil. Alternatively, if you are new to it, most of your plant nurseries will sell like a ready mixed potting soil that already has the compost and the right NPK mixture into the soil. So that's another way to go about it, and it's quite cheap to buy it in on wholesale.
Okay. So the soil needs to be pretty loose, I guess, because the roots need the ability to get established in the beginning. You can't have a really compacted soil or anything like that.
You can't, but it also depends on the plant. Like most of your succulents or your thick leaf plants would prefer a very well drained, like a river sand type of soil, where a lot of your hardwood plants would require a more clay-like soil that's kept moist at all times. Potting soil really comes in handy because it aerates the soil enough for the roots to maneuver throughout and become stronger. Alternatively, just adding a decent full compost to the mix does the trick perfectly.
Okay. Well, I'm sure I'm still gonna mess it up. Yeah, I might have to send you some pictures when I'm trying to do. I planted a bunch of these fruit trees and I planted about 32 fruit trees on my land that I'm about to move to, and yeah, that was one of my big goals, was to be able to propagate those trees and just keep planting them out and then being able to kind of spread them out as well. So yeah, that's one of my big goals, is to get the propagation down. So
Oh yeah, send me pictures. I'll talk you through it. 'Tis easy.
awesome, very cool. Yeah, so the farm has been in the family for 40 years. So how many acres do you guys have?
I'm a metric kind of girl.
Okay, yeah, that's the big difference too. Is you got the metric, and then we got the goofy inches and English stuff.
Absolutely. But I like the metric system. It just makes things seem bigger than what they really are, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really just makes sense. the English system is all kinds of weird, but it's the only way. You grow up using inches and feet and all that kind of stuff. So you pull out a tape measure and it's this many inches, or you hold that in your head, I guess. So it's like going back and forth is it's a little weird for us Americans. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, Rondon says it goes back to prehistory. It's not really English. Okay. Well, yeah, I didn't know that. That's cool. So, some of these other things that you do, one of the things that was really intriguing to me was that you do fire dancing. How did you get started doing that?
Oh, well, that's quite an interesting story. At some point, me and my daughter moved down to Durban, which is on the coastline of South Africa, and she was in a very small private like homeschool kind of setup. And what they did with the kids there was they did all kinds of I'm just going to go ahead and call it like circus acts with the kids, like instead of large scale group sports, because there was such a small number of kids. And
Oh, okay.
we had to move back, and Megan was too young to do the fire dancing, or the poi as they call it, at that stage. So we moved back to the farm, and I started learning myself from YouTube in order to teach her. She was quite small at that stage. By the time that I had gotten to a point where I was content at being able to teach her, she had long since moved on and lost interest in it. So it kind of became a me thing instead of a her thing. But yeah, that's how I got into that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and so you were able to. I saw that you were able to kind of turn it into a little bit of a side hustle too. You were able to kind of make some money doing it as well.
Yeah, I think when you're younger, but at my current age, I doubt that people, want to pay for an old lady to swing around fire.
Oh, so you were able to like do these at like concerts and stuff like that, I guess.
Oh yes. I'm just kidding with you. I did a show. I did a show a few weeks ago, actually, or less than a month ago, at least. And yeah, it went quite well. We've done a lot of festivals, music events, bikers rallies, corporate events. I've done them all, and it was absolutely amazing journey.
Yeah, that's wild. That's I saw some of those pictures, and I guess those are like where they leave the aperture open or something, and you can see the trace of the fire and all that kind of stuff. That's really neat.
Yeah, it really is. I always love looking at those, and people go like, "Why didn't you take a video? Or why didn't you take more photos?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm kind of reliant on the other people that do that." It's a bit difficult swinging fire and taking photos at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. That's a neat little thing. Um, so yeah, you got that going on the side, and then you're also you do some singing, huh?
Yeah. I wouldn't call myself a musician, but I've done some music and write some songs. Started off by writing lyrics for other people's songs mostly, and wrote a few, but I was never educated in music, so I could never write them down. I only had them memorized. And then it's a strange, happy, sad story, I guess. Happy, glad, sad. I was diagnosed with cancer again, and I just reached that point of, you might as well give it a try. You might as well just, put it out there and see what happens. So I gathered up my balls, and I recorded a song, which came out, I think, reasonably okay for my first one. And then I did some more, and I like it. I just don't always have time for it, though.
Yeah. So you said you got diagnosed again? So it came back?
Well, yes. I was about, I think, 11 years old, and I was diagnosed with malignant melanoma. which was removed completely. And then much later on in life, I had a growth in my breast, which they managed to remove, had some radiation and stuff, radiation treatment on it. And yeah, it was clear for quite a few years, and then it just came back with vengeance. And at this point, I just decided, fuck it, I'm going the natural route. If I die, I die. So I've been self-treating. I'm still supposed to go back for a scan, which I have been putting off for quite some time. But I'm positive that the results will be positive as well, I guess. I hope.
Yeah. I've done a lot of research and looked at there's something called amygdalin, which exists in like apricot seeds and like bitter almonds and like apple seeds, things like that. And there's a guy, G. Edward Griffin, wrote a book called The World Without Cancer. And what I learned out of that book is that these seeds carry this cyanide component to them, and so cancer cells are not able to create the enzyme that can block that cyanide component, and it pretty much directly targets those cells and can obliterate them. Your healthy cells create an enzyme that block that component, and that was one thing that I've looked at and into the whole cancer thing. So and then just things about alkalizing your blood. If you can eat more foods that are like that can alkalize your blood, like lemons and citrus and a lot of that kind of stuff helps to alkalize your blood. And that's one of the things, is that cancer grows in an acidic environment, from what I've learned. And if you can go more alkaline, then you have a better chance that your natural immune system can fight it off.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a good thing here was, like, I've always had a great interest in ethnobotanical plants and their uses and applications. And, I never thought that I would reach a point where they would make such a difference in my life. But I also did extensive studies on a plant called Sutherlandia, which is indigenous to our area. It was commonly known in the old days as the cancer bush tea, and it was used as a treatment for cancer before radiation and chemo and stuff like that came out. Then there's also another one that I used was the African potato, which is a small shrub, makes a potato-like root at the bottom, which has helped me a lot. And then I I grew a whole forest of weed, and that came in handy. I bartered out all the excess in exchange for some CBD oil, which I've been using, which has really done me well as well. So there's a whole range of things that I've done, changes that I've made to my life. And then also just allowing myself to rest.
Yeah,
I'm still working on that one, but yeah, I'm trying.
Yeah, it sounds like you go 24/7. So you have issues going to actually getting sleep and stuff, huh?
I do. It's been a good 2 weeks, I think, for me. I've actually been getting some sleep, which is amazing.
Oh yeah.
So this is that thing that people always talk about. It was so good. It was just fantastic. I don't have a better way to say it. But
What was able to get you some good sleep? Was it just wearing yourself out during the day or something, or?
No, I always wear myself out during the day.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just been a good 2 weeks. But yeah, I'm not going to jinx it by going into details. I got sleep. I'm happy.
I have a issue with that as well. Like I have a weird, I don't know. I just my brain is constantly trying to think about problems, I guess, and trying to to create the solutions. And so I do have some issues going to sleep myself. So usually I have to have some kind of stimulation or something going, and it helps me fall asleep. But usually some sound or something. Even when I was really young, that was how it worked. But I every night I think I believe I talk in my sleep. At least that's what people have told me. I also do that. So.
Oh wow, Galberto brought up an interesting thing in the chat here. He said, "Did you know that reptiles help people with cancer?" The oncologist said to my good father that they need to eat reptile. Oh, good lord!
What's
Yes, I'm just gonna go out and catch a snake now, Galberto.
What is?
In all honesty, stranger things have happened. So.
Yeah, that's very interesting. What's Garobo? I'll have to look that one up. Or do you know? Oh, okay. Maybe that's a certain type. That's just a certain type of reptile. Yeah.
Yeah, it could be.
Interesting. Very interesting. So, so yeah, so yeah, it's a whole mango forest that you have going on, pretty much. Do you use like a lot of permaculture practices? Do you have everything laid out so you don't have to water those fruit trees as much, or?
Well, the nice thing about our setup is that we've got a lot of underground water, deep-seated underground water. We only have annual rainfall, like I said. Our plants aren't being irrigated at the moment, so they are completely dependent on natural water sources,
Okay.
which made it a little bit difficult during the drought because I had to go manually water them with buckets and rainwater that we had collected. So that was a very interesting time, but rule of thumb, they just dependent on natural water, underground sources. The first, I think, three years, they do need proper irrigation, and a lot of farmers do have ample water, so they can then make use of irrigation. But sadly, that's a luxury I don't have, so we make do with what we have.
Oh, okay. I gotcha. So is it just like do you try to intersperse like different types of mangoes, like different um varieties of them, or is it just all kind of like a one type of mango?
Currently, we've got 5 different cultivars growing.
Okay.
And this is a very interesting fact, and I don't know, plants are just so fascinating to me.
Yeah.
If you grow your mangoes and you incorporate different cultivars in between, their pollen production actually shoots up because they are trying to outlive the other cultivar. So they are trying to ensure the survival of their own. And in the process, they produce more pollen and flowers, which in turn produces more fruit. So varying your cultivars on your orchard actually helps with fruit production in itself. It's quite interesting.
Wow, very cool. Yeah, so they're all in kind of a competition with each other.
Absolutely. I only found that out a few years ago while doing some research on the different cultivars of fruits. And it's a relatively new study that they've been doing. Luckily, our orchards had already been planted with different cultivars. So, yeah, that counted enough.
Yeah, neat. So I'm kind of in the opinion that that when you talk to your plants and stuff like that, they grow better. Do you go out and talk to the plants?
Well, I don't have the time really to talk to all the mango trees, for example. Um, but I don't know. I constantly walking around singing, so I guess you could say I sing to my plants.
Yeah.
The medicinal plants that I do. So does that count?
Yeah, exactly. That's good. Yeah, it's just I think there was something that I can't I don't know if I read or watched, and it was I remember reading Rupert Sheldrake. He wrote this book called Morphic Resonance, and he was talking about how uh, you know the plants can express themselves into this energetic field and stuff like that, and then different sounds and stuff can affect growth and different things like that. So it was kind of interesting. It's um this whole idea that everything is connected in this kind of in the environment. And there was something where it was like somebody was in a room and they tore up this one piece of lettuce and like violently just ripped it out of the ground and stuff like that. And then they monitored this other lettuce or something, and it was giving off like these pulses when the person was back in the room. Like it was like it knew that there was some bad, something bad could happen or something like that. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I've seen I think on YouTube a clip about that where they did studies and monitored I suppose you can say the energy of the plants and how it reacted to different types of treatments. It was quite fascinating.
Yeah.
It but it I don't know. I think I've just got that naturally instilled into me. The idea of not living a wasteful life and um, being attentive to what you use. And if you are going to use something, I mean, South
Yeah.
Africa is pretty damn meat heavy, for example. But when we do kill an animal, it's killed for a purpose and a cause, and everything of the animal gets used to the full extent. And the same when it comes to plants. Putting a little bit of thoughts behind your actions, I think just helps the process in a natural way. So it's always interesting. What is that?
Yeah.
Patient zero. No.
That was creepy. This is for those that can't see.
Dinner fighting back.
For those that can't see the Discord chat, it's a somebody putting soy sauce or something on an octopus, and it's alive still on somebody's bowl. That's very creepy. So that was another question I had for you is so you're just mainly doing the fruit trees, but do you guys also grow have livestock of different kinds?
Absolutely. We do have the pigs, we've got the goats, we've got the chickens. Those are the three main ones that we have. I am looking into getting cattle, but I'm a bit scared of the drought now. I used to have some cattle, but I sold it because, life happened and I needed to.
Yeah.
And then together with that, so that basically covers all the meat bases. All the waste from the animals goes back into making fertilizers for the gardens. We've got huge vegetable gardens. I've put up 2 growing houses or growing nets, which is, I don't know if you've maybe seen it before, but it's just huge net houses, which we use to plant crops in, which is
Yeah,
your
I think I saw that.
revolving cash crop.
Okay, yeah, you just have some kind of like area that's like all netted or something like that.
Yeah. So that helps with the monkeys, with wind, with water evaporation, things like that. Those are all under irrigation, though. The one net house, I'm still struggling with to get the irrigation right. Gonna
Yeah.
need to get new pipes and stuff before I can carry on there. But it's in the process of happening. And then, yeah, like I said, the gardens and everything is because it's your soft leaf fruits, and we endure quite high temperatures during the summer months. So having it under nets helps with your condensation and plant growth.
Okay.
So
Now,
yeah.
is it just you? You definitely have some help, or is it just you doing all this stuff?
We currently have 2 people working on the farm that helps me. But between the 3 of us, we manage to only barely, but get through the days. Yeah.
Wow, that is incredible. Wow. So, I know that there's that like the world wide organic farming thing. Do you ever do anything like that, like host people to work on the farm or something like that, and then they just work and have a place to stay and food to eat and stuff like that?
I have considered that on numerous occasions, but I would like to reach a point where I can get decent accommodation for them, at least on the farm. But that is still a while to go.
Oh, okay. Okay. Wow.
Good Lord, now it's unravel me. Why are you doing this to me? That's just wrong.
Yeah, yeah. I know they do that in Korea. I had a buddy that was is Korean, and he said that in South Korea that you can get like the live octopus to eat or whatever, but you have to make sure you eat them fast, or else they can mess you up. It's weird. I don't know if I'd ever do that. But I do love food. Do you have a favorite meal or anything that you like to prepare from the farm? South African dishes?
Well, like I said, South Africa is pretty much beer and meat, staple food.
Yeah.
So we are a bit meat heavy. My dad is struggling with diabetes on his old age. So what I've been doing is, well, it's not exactly a meal, but I've been making use of the ethnobotanical plants and making him morning smoothies every morning that consists of a plant called spackworm, some fresh chives, spinach, some everything from the garden, and then giving that to him, which has helped his blood sugar come down immensely and helped him lose quite a bit of weight. And right now I've got him on a banting diet, so we're all kind of eating with him. South Africa, basically, we've got pap, which is a maize product, similar, cooked in a similar way to polenta, I suppose, or a stiff porridge. And that is normally served with a tomato and onion relish, and vosh, and which is how do you explain vosh? It's
I don't know. I don't know any of
coarsely
these things.
ground sausage.
Okay. Yeah. So that's like probably like a carryover from the Dutch or something, huh?
Absolutely. It's just like a coarsely ground beef with pork fat in, and then that gets and spices and herbs and stuff. So that is a very traditional thing on a braai, which is, I don't know, like a real people's barbecue, I suppose.
Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah, so patient zero asked, what food did you say for the blood sugar? What kind of diet was that you guys got going?
It's a Banting diet, which cuts out pretty much all your starch and all your sugar out of the diet, and you supplement it by making use of natural fats, so that all the natural sugars that your body needs and your brain needs, your body actually has to work for. Um, so that's been helping him a lot. He's lost, I think, over the past 3 weeks, he's lost, I think, 11 kilograms. And before that, he lost 6 with the just on the breakfast smoothies alone. So it's been serving him well, and his blood sugars spikes were normally up to 17, where they are now constantly under 10, between 8 and 9. So that's really helping.
Okay.
And then also just like in the smoothies, the plants I was referring to, the one is called a spackboom, which is very high in nutritional value, and also helps the body to readjust itself, as well as Moringa, which is just added as a nutritional supplement.
Yeah, I've heard so many great things about moringa. It almost seems like it's a miracle plant or something.
Yeah, I'm currently busy propagating more of them. I think I've got something like 10 trees currently growing, but I'd like to get that numbers up.
Oh, very cool. So you can eat anything on or all the leaves and everything on the tree. Then it's just the leaves you eat, right?
Yeah, you can use the leaves, you can use the roots, which I'm not currently doing. Um, but the most common uses is using the leaves in either a tea, in your cooking, in your salads, or just capsulated in the powder itself, encapsulated. Blech.
Okay. Yeah, I was looking into getting moringa. I'd really like to plant some of that on my land as well, and try to get it propagated as well. So your family, it's your dad, and do they live close by you? Are they on that land with you?
Yeah, they are. But they're getting old, so they're not actively involved really in the farming as such.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but they're still around.
Okay.
They're giving me more more stress than having a teenager around. Put it that way.
Yeah, yeah. So you have a daughter. Does she still live with you, or has she moved off, or is she on the farm?
She is and she isn't. Because the schools and stuff is a farm.
Okay.
Sadly, she is in hostel during the week, and then she's home on the weekends.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't see her as much of becoming a farm girl at the end of the day. I think she's going to move on to bigger, better things, bright city lights, and all that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's probably the people that grow up on the farm are kind of, I've had a few friends that grew up on farms, and they don't want anything to do with it after that. But yeah, some people are drawn to it though.
Absolutely. But I think the good thing is, and this is something that we've really been blessed with, is being able to raise her in the environment that I did. Um, we had some family that came over with their kids, and I don't know even how the topic came up, but where does milk come from? And the answer is the shop. Where does eggs come from? The answer is the shop. And I was absolutely horrified by the idea of that. Whereas Megan, my daughter, was raised, she can hunt, she can fish, she'll be able to look after herself if the internet collapses, basically. She'll be able to source her food. She is a fantastic behind a rifle, actually. She's almost reaching the point of being able to kick my ass. But she's not quite there yet, so I'll just have to keep on improving, I suppose. Can't have the teenagers win the war, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it doesn't matter what you tell them; they're not going to listen to you. So that's just this is part of it, I guess. At least that's how I was. Anyway, I always thought I was right until you learned the lessons the hard way, and then you learn. Yeah,
but I think, like I said, I think the way her upbringing played out, she's a very open-minded, bright individual, and she's just, she's fantastic. I've never had a door slammed in my face. she's 17 now. I've never had the "I hate you, mother" thing or any of that. So, and she's quite disciplined, so it helps. It really helps.
Yeah. It's, I don't know. I think there is a lot to being able to grow up. At least being in nature. That's how we were as kids, and just getting to play in the creeks and build your own forts, and just be out in nature was a big thing for me. It kind of piques your curiosity too, because you see you're getting to explore things and find little lizards in the creek, like what's this thing, and crawdads and different things like that. And it's like, everything's so wondrous when you're a kid. It's so huge as well. It's giant and wondrous.
Absolutely. It's all about a choice, but if you want, life is pretty much an adventure when you live on the farm. There's always something to entertain yourself with, even if it's just getting drunk and shooting rats off the ceiling. But there's always something to entertain yourself with.
Nice. Yeah, that's been kind of I'm kind of looking forward to. I've always wanted that property where I could just go pee off my porch whenever I wanted to, and shoot guns whenever I want to, or anything like that. And just having that ability to go out and nobody's gonna be complaining about what you're doing or whatever is very appealing.
Yeah, it really is. Sadly, with the gun laws, we don't have that perk anymore. But yeah, we do still have a few smaller caliber rifles with silencers on, so that comes in handy every now and then.
Yeah, because so what do they allow? They allow you guys to use them for hunting purposes, I guess, is the big deal.
Yeah, they do. I think for the biggest part, your rifles for self-defense is very hard to come by permits for them. But if you do have a farm and you can attain hunting rifles, which you'd also need specialized permits for, and you would need to have a license, and you'd have to renew that, I think, every 3 years or 5 years. Depending on the rifle and the purpose of the gun. But
okay.
Yeah, it's still there.
Right.
At least.
Right. Well, yeah, that's good. I mean, especially just kind of being out there, you need something for defense if even critters come by and start harassing you and stuff. That when you talk about the monkeys getting into your food, that's like not even something that crosses your mind. But those suckers are pretty intelligent Can they still find their ways into and get to the food even with all your um, security set up?
Well, they are reasonably clever little motherfuckers, but
Yeah.
they haven't been able to get into the net houses yet. I think the fact that there's a lot of fruit trees and everything surrounding the net houses helps. So, but what they do is they just go into the grenadilla orchard, for example, and just take a bite out of every fruit and then chuck it on the ground. And then, they just move through the entire garden like that. So there's a lot that's if you've seen pictures of the vegetable garden, it's still open on the side, although it's covered with shade cloth. So they still get in there, and the dogs manage to keep them at bay for the bigger part of it.
Okay.
It's it's an ongoing battle. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. So what kind of dogs do you have?
Well, I've got a Weimaraner, which is a pointer.
Oh, okay.
And then I've got two smaller dogs, Jack Russell, and the other one is a half-breed rescue. Well, they're all rescues, but the other one, I'm not even sure what it is.
Yeah.
It's a fluffy slut for love dog that is absolutely useless at any kind of farm work.
It's just the local entertainment. Or just likes getting pets.
She's just, like I said, she's just a slut for love. She just wants to be around people and be loved, and
Yeah.
constantly sneaking into the house, finding a bed to lay on until someone chases her out again. I don't know, she's a human dog.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about was you were kind of looking into or interested in doing some solar at one point in time. Are you what kind of power do you guys use on a daily basis? Do you know?
Well, that is the one thing that we're still dependent on the system for, is we getting our power
Yeah.
is coming in through a line from the power stations. So that's something I desperately want to break away from, especially with the current power cuts in the country.
Oh yeah,
I
has it
think
been
ESCOM, which is the
really?
main
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, not at all. ESCOM, which is the main service provider. Now, South Africa has sold out the majority of their mineral rights to China. And then now they're buying back minerals in order to keep the power plant running. But, they've made huge loans from China in order to get the plant up and going. But at the end of the day, it went through a corrupt system, and the company is still bankrupt. So we have very regular time scheduled power cuts at this point.
Oh wow.
It's been going better now during the election times, but we're all expecting it to to not stay that way. They call it load shedding,
Yeah.
where they would just cut off entire sections' powers. We've lost quite a lot of meat and freezers. I think we've lost about 2 freezers with power cuts.
Wow.
So it's very draining, and we all want to break. A lot of places are going into solar, but because it's a reasonably new thing, well, not new, but commercially used and things like that, it's reasonably new to South Africa. So the costs involved in that is ridiculously high, and your batteries, the storage batteries that you get. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. They're still pretty expensive.
Yeah, and not only that, I don't think that their quality is up to standard yet. So they need regular replacement. People that I've spoken to that has gone over to solar has actually been complaining that it is working them out more to be on solar currently in South Africa than what it does like paying for your electricity via the power station.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder, definitely a smaller system, just to be able to handle your refrigeration for your freezers, and then maybe even putting them on some like timers or something like that might be a good thing for you. But yeah, I'd love to help at least like maybe price something out for you, and I don't know, I guess what maybe I could put together in the U.S. and maybe give that to you as like a way you can maybe do some shopping around. I don't know, for finding the components locally.
That would certainly be a huge help. I know that a lot of people which are situated in like higher altitudes, I suppose, they're going over to wind turbines.
Okay.
But where we are, it's on the African flats, so there's a
Yeah.
lot of mountains around us, but we don't get a lot of wind.
Yeah, one thing that that has been when I was working in Jack Dub was my co-host on the show. He hooked up a little wind turbine in his solar power system, and the output that he got with his wind turbine and the money he spent, he could have got like a few more solar panels and had more output with the solar from what he figured out. And so I think it really depends on the area that you're at with wind, and if you have a really high wind situation. And then also the way that the three blade wind turbines are designed, they're not very efficient. There's a different type of design. It's almost like a jet turbine that collects a lot more of the wind energy and uses it for a lot more efficiently. So yeah, there's like different designs out there, but yeah, it's Robbie just said it. It's kind of all by design that this system doesn't really want you to get out on your own and be energy independent. So there's a lot of roadblocks that you got to overcome.
There really is. At the moment, we've got a backup generator, but that runs on fuel or petrol rather. But that's quite costly to run. So we mostly use that to maintain the fridges and, the basics, the necessaries.
Okay.
But yeah, definitely need to get to a point to look into other options. And I do need to do that soon. It's just like life is constantly throwing out other priority orders, I suppose.
Yeah. Things are going, you got to take one thing at a time, one day at a time, and just keep moving forward. Do you have plentiful, I guess you have plentiful wood around you. Is that the case?
Yeah, no, wood we have quite a bit of.
So there's a thing called wood gasification, and if you guys have lots of there's some open source plans by this guy Ben Peterson on building a wood gasifier. It was a technology they used back in the 1940s and during World War II. But pretty much what it does is it in a low oxygen environment, it's heating up wood and then burning off gases. It creates like a hydrogen methane byproduct, and then you can pump that into a generator set and use that to power your generator. So if you have plentiful wood, that's also another possibility for producing your own energy. And these things you can make out of like propane tanks. Those 100-pound propane tanks, the tall ones, they can be converted into one of these wood gasifiers. And that might be a good option for you guys out there as well.
Certainly something I'm willing to look into.
Yeah, do you guys do you have a local welder or anybody that can do metalwork around there?
Yes, me.
That's awesome. So do you have all that welding equipment there with you?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Yeah, you might be able to put this together. It's that it's a pretty nice little plan set, and definitely hook up with you and see if I can get it's something that I want to do and build myself, and wanted to share that with Steam It as well. So yeah, I don't know, maybe you could follow along with the build. It's not high on my priority list right now, but definitely look into guy Ben Peterson. He has the plans that you have to purchase through his website, but it's called the Wood Gasifier Bible. But it's like he's dialed in this wood gasifier system and created one of the best little DIY plan sets for it. But yeah, you might be able to definitely, using what's around you, create something like that.
That sounds like a project that that I would probably be interested in doing. Yes. We spoke a little bit earlier about, how necessity teaches us to do things. And I think it's reached the point of becoming necessary to look into something else. And if that's something that I can do with the resources I have at hand, I don't see why not to try it.
Yeah. I think it definitely, if solar panels are hard to get your hands on, and then, if you have, access to plenty of wood and all that stuff, then it's definitely an option to be able to have a more hardened grid, because you can just pump it into your normal generator. You just have to do some modifications and get your correct air mixture right, and you can pump it into just any generator set, and it'll make it run. So it's just not as energy dense as gasoline, so you don't get as high a power output as you would on gasoline. But if you got plenty of wood around, you're gonna get some energy. So
hey, it's still better than be.
Yeah. Sorry, you dropped off a little bit, but yeah, it's better than trying to be dependent on that grid with all the power outages and things like that. So yeah, something to look into. That's it sounds like it's just kind of fun in general to see all the animals and everything, all the wildlife around you. Are you like, do you go on a lot of hikes and things like that around the area? I lost, sorry, I can't hear your sound coming out right now for some reason. You still there? Breeze?
Can you hear me now?
Oh, yeah, there we go. Yep.
Sorry about that. My PC's been acting a little bit funny.
Yeah.
Still trying to iron out the kinks. Yes, I do live very close to nature. I other than taking some time off to just get stuff done on the farm, I have been actively involved in quite a few conservation efforts, especially when it comes to our endangered species, especially the rhino. Been doing a lot of work there. But I have basically, like I said to you earlier, taken a year off. We do go out on a lot of hikes, and nature really is in abundance here. So there's no reason not to appreciate what you're surrounded by.
Yeah, wow. So rhinos. So what do you guys do specifically to try to help the rhinos out? Like you just try to report poachers and things like that, I guess.
Well, we would go out on anti-poaching marches where you literally secure the fences of institutions who has rhinos in captivity. And when I say captivity, it's not small cages; it's free rangeable enclosed farms.
Okay.
So we go out and we walk out on the lines. And catch poachers red-handed. We also helped with, I had a few years back, we had a huge music festival in order to raise funds for ProTrack, which is a specializing security company that's sole focus is on conservation and anti-poaching. So yeah, I've been there hands first. We've been helping with the medical care of injured rhinos that has survived poaching attempts, rehabilitating orphaned rhinos as well, getting them back out there, getting them through the stage of needing to be bottle fed, reintroducing them slowly back into the wild, into an environment where they can live a natural full life. So yeah, there's a lot of behind the scene work when it comes to conservation that people don't realize. They've also now introduced a system where the rhino horns itself, they would seduce seduce so funny. They would sedate the rhinos, not seduce the rhinos. They would sedate the rhinos, and then some instances they would chip the rhino horn, which is just a micro tracking chip. If the rhino then does get poached and the horns do get cut off, they can then track wherever this is going. And then they realize that this, the poachers are always one step ahead. So they started like removing the chips before moving the merchandise. So they started a new system now, which is a poison that is injected into the rhino horn itself.
Whoa.
Now, if you look at the rhino horn itself, it's basically the same composition as a human nail. It's like hair follicles basically that gets compressed into an ivory state. So now they inject the rhino horn itself, which doesn't affect the rhino in any way, shape, or form. But when the rhino horn then does get handled or consumed, it can have dire effects. So they have started doing this, and in a whole herd of rhinos, they won't do that to all the rhinos. They would only do it to some because it's quite a pricey process, and there's not always the funds available to do this. So, but the nice thing is poachers wouldn't know which ones are treated and which ones not, because it's not a visually seen. So that's been helping to get the rhino poaching down as well. And then ProTrack has also pulled down a whole syndicate now recently of rhino horns in transit. So they're really, really doing a good job. I think more people, I always call them the keyboard warriors, they sit there behind their keyboards and they're posting all this like violent pictures of rhinos being poached, and I'm like, fuck that, get out there, get your hands dirty and come do it with us. So yeah, that's certainly, like, I think if I had a message to throw out there, that would be one of them.
Yeah, just take the action to get out there and just try to get the pictures of them or shame these people and just get out in the field and do some work.
Absolutely. I think when it comes to causes and things that people can throw money at, it's always such a sensitive situation because you being on the giving end, you don't have any assurance of the money going where it's supposed to be going. But giving up a little bit of your time, giving up a little bit of your effort, and really just getting in there and helping where help is needed.
Yeah.
Ron says he doesn't think they have any shame. I have to agree with you. They don't.
Yeah. Probably not if they're just out there, just trying to take the animals like a resource. So, yeah. So that's wild. Like, rhinos, like, so if you're involved in, I guess you can only kind of help them out when they're really real little and not huge creatures. Because I mean, have you been right up to big rhinos and things like that?
Yeah, no, I have.
Wow.
It's I don't know. I don't even know how to describe it. It's intimidating.
Oh yeah.
You realize just how small you are when you're standing right next to a fully grown rhino or a fully grown elephant, especially the African elephants. They are immense.
Wow.
And it's just an amazing feeling. But I don't know. I don't even think you can describe it.
Yeah.
When it comes to the bigger rhinos, you still need to help them out. They still need, if they have survived a poaching attempt, they still need that medical attention, and that costs a lot of money. You need to seduce them. You need to sedate them in order to give them the correct medical attention that they need. You need specialized veterinarians out on the scene. You're gonna need moving equipment, hauling equipment. It's all extremely pricey, and these people can't do it without the help from the outside. And I'm not in a position where I can always lend financial aid. So for me, my time and knowledge and all that is what I can give back, and I give that freely.
Yeah, that's cool. So, so with all the products on the farm, I guess you said the one way that you do your preservation is just through your freezers. Do you do a lot of canning and other things to try to preserve your food?
Yes, we do. From the fruits, there's always preserves, jams, whole fruit preserves, I don't know, relishes, sauces, chilies, the whole nine yards. So we do all that at a home-based level. When it comes to meat, a lot of the meat that we process is dried out, similar to jerky, I suppose, but we call it biltong, and it tastes a whole lot better. So meat gets dried, frozen, or pre-cooked and kept in cool storage, or preserved. Fruits and vegetables, everything. So we process as much as we can. Because although we only have, like I said, pretty much 2 seasons, fruits and stuff still do grow better in certain seasons. So when you can harvest, you do. And there will always be more fruit yield than what you can use up in a day. And then, like I said, also bartering with it. I've got X, Y, and Z fruits and you've got ABC, so let's make a trade.
Yeah.
That's certainly also a very stronghold for us when it comes to harvesting. And then also dried fruit, of course. Dried fruits, dried like chilies, onions, tomatoes, all of those mushrooms can all be, processed and dried for later usage as well. So it's not just the canning and production of preservatives in that fashion.
So is that all done with like just a dehydrator machine? Do you use a machine, or do you just like kind of let it out to dry on racks or something like that?
It depends on the weather, I suppose.
Yeah.
Normally just under very thin netting, let it sun dry, cut it right and let it sun dry. Alternatively, we would make use of the oven to dry things that's prone to mold. For example, like onions. It's better to dry your onions in the oven than what it is to sun dry them. But tomatoes and your soft fruits, that can all just be dried outside. The mangoes, however, goes to a production plant where it's dried in huge quantities.
Okay. Yeah, because you ship those, I guess you ship that out everywhere then, huh? Just to like a food distributor or something like that?
Well, what we do is there's various markets. You've got people buy them for achar, which is a very commonly used condiment in the area. So they can either go to the achar market, they can go towards juicing, they can go towards drying, or just sold as whole fruit. And what you do is you just watch the markets and see where you can get a better price for your produce, and then that is where your fruit will be heading.
Okay. So was that, I guess since you guys have been doing this for so long, you guys have like pretty much really well-established networks and was that, do you remember how that was built out in the beginning?
Trial and error. Trial and error.
Yeah.
It's a long learning process. I mean, people, I get this so often, and you can see if you go through older posts that I've done on farming, and people will go like, "Oh, that looks so amazing! It's such fun," and it's not. It's not always fun. It's tedious work, hand bleeding fucking work. You get home, you bent, you bruised. It's not always fun and games.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, when it comes to the markets and stuff, it's pretty much trial and error. Trying to figure out what goes where, what your options are, all those things. And there's constantly new developments. So it's not about,
Okay.
get your niche and then stick to it kind of thing.
Yeah.
You have to almost stick with the times and move along from that, especially when it comes to doing cash crops or.
Wow.
Because one of the very common practices is your cash crops can be produced within, let's say, about 3 months from putting in seedlings or from putting the seeds into the ground up to the point where you can harvest, whether it's chilies, tomatoes, or beans, and then what people do is they'll intently watch the market, and as soon as the market starts changing, they'll start planting whatever's getting a higher price. So if you're getting, a good price on chilies now, it doesn't mean that you're going to be getting a good price on chilies within the next 2 months, because then the market is flooded and no one wants chilies anymore. So you constantly have to re-navigate what you plant and what you're putting in.
Wow.
So it's never a dull moment.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, it's not like set it, you have your networks all set up and they're all going, and you can expect this, that you're going to get this year after year. You just have to always kind of be rolling with the punches and going with the flow. That's never a dull moment.
Yeah. And then just when you think you've got that system figured out, like nature will throw in a curveball or two. You'd either get floods or you'd get like a 3-year progressive drought. It's all obstacles that you constantly need to work around. But
Yeah.
it keeps you on your toes. It certainly does. And it's well worth the effort at the end of the day.
Yeah. So do you said a little bit, I think we were talking before the show. Do you have a little network of farmers around you as well? Do you guys kind of like share ideas or have a really good community in that regard?
I think farmers at this stage, yeah, we do get around, but it's more informal. It's not a like
Yeah.
a little town hall meeting. Let's all get together on Sunday after lunch kind of thing. It's more an informal, run into someone at the corporation or run into someone at the fruit markets, and he's like, "Hey, yeah, I was doing this, and this is really working well for me," or maybe try this. I had that crop in a few years ago, and just I think
Yeah, just
if you
sharing little
if you've
tidbits here and there.
if you've never been to South Africa, it's such a friendly, open, accommodating country. It's
Uh-huh.
you drive down the road and you don't drive past someone without greeting because it's polite. And then
Right.
going into the cities and you greet someone, or I had this one instance where I went into a shop somewhere in the city, and the cashiers all have these name tags, and I greeted the lady by her name. She almost fell off a chair because, why why are you doing this? How do you know my name? Are you stalking me? And I'm like, yeah, it's on your tag and it's polite.
Yeah.
They're just not used to actually, they are there to serve a purpose, and but that doesn't make them less human. So we're still in a tight-knit community where greeting whoever you walk past is the polite way to go about your day, and just common courtesy, I suppose.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a sign of our times now. Anyway, people are kind of buried in their devices and things like that, and kind of more shied away from the social interactions and things like that. But I do the same things at the cash register too, and sometimes try to interject a little joke or something if I can, and always try to see if they can how their day is going and stuff like that. And yeah, definitely people do think it is weird when you say their name and you're like, what the, they're just like not used to it at all. But I think it is it's just kind of part of the times that we're living in. I think yeah, and especially the direction that I want to go is to get more into that one-on-one interactions with people, and really cultivate real relationships and things like that. So it's that's the important things in life. And so that kind of brings me around to the next thing I wanted to ask you, is because you said that you are kind of a tech illiterate a little bit. How did you make your way to cryptocurrency and Steam?
Trial and error.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
It's been a fascinating change of life. I've always enjoyed just writing and doing the, like I said, like lyricist and things like that. And I think someone in my dad's church or something told him that his son is on this steamer thing, and so I'm like, okay, I'll go check it out. And I got there and it was still dark ages. It was dark. You couldn't just upload a photo, and there was no way of communicating when you struggled with something. I don't even think Steam Chat was up yet. And you'd have to upload your pictures onto Imgur or something like that, and then from there carry over the link to the post. So it was interesting times, but I just really wanted to give it a try. And, eventually I think Discord aided so much in the growth in that sense, when people could actually, ask a question now and not wait for someone to hopefully respond on your post in order to get the advice that you needed. And I've just met so many amazing people that's been willing to help me along. It's still a learning curve every day, but yeah, I'm winging it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that's really cool. So have you been able to use the Steam or anything like that and get to be able to spend it in any way, or you're just trying to you're just piling it, or just keep on accruing it in your account and see where it goes?
You clearly didn't open my wallet, did you?
No, they separated it now, so I don't even know. Yeah, I didn't go in there, but
No.
yeah.
I managed to make my way up to Dolphin a long, long time ago. But sadly,
nice.
Life comes into play. And like I said, we've been going through a 3-year progressive drought on the farm. We had a lot of issues on the farm last year. I lost quite a bit of goats. I lost pretty much my entire mango harvest, which is the biggest annual income for us. So I've been, taking out here and there as I can. I do try to let it grow, but it's just not at a point of happening right now.
Right. Yeah. Wow. So do you see that the drought conditions getting any better, or are they you're still kind of in a drought season?
Well, it reached a point where the farm dam was completely empty. We made use of that opportunity to scrape it a little bit and make it a little bit deeper. We were hoping for a decent rainfall this year, but that sadly did not happen. So we're looking up at a very tough year ahead. I've made quite a lot of provisions for the animals. I've planted a lot of sustainable natural food for the goats that is drought resistant, that has now stabilized into reasonably sized shrubs, so that by the time that the drought kind of, takes effect on the land itself, now that we're out of the rain season, which will be in a month or two, they would have that to fall back on.
Okay.
But it's like I said, interesting times, I think is the best way to describe it.
Yeah. So, are you able to do some irrigation with your well, or do you have to really watch that because of you're not going to be able to get enough in the well even?
During times of drought, I think the even the underground water levels, they drop immensely. We used to have 3 boreholes. We've got now have 1 that is still running and functional. We do have quite a few rainwater tanks that we gather rainwater in order to pull us through the drought season, even if it's just for the animals. The vegetable patches, because that is our literally our daily bread. Those are under irrigation, but it does get monitored very closely regarding the water tables, etc. When the water tables drop, for example, we go into pumping more regularly, but less at a time, to give the water tables time to stabilize a bit more. And then also the garden produce the amount of water that they are given would then be lessened to accommodate, so that everything gets enough to survive.
Yeah. Wow. That's you really gotta conserve your water. Do you guys do any like your gray water catchment or anything like that to maybe water, fruit trees or anything like that?
Yes, we do. The whole farm is all the sewage systems are running on septic tanks, and then a separate tank for the grey water, which then does also go through a very basic filtering system, and then used for irrigations on the plant. Um, but we normally, like, once the tank is full, we start irrigating from that until it's at a lower level, and then switch back over to rainwater and pump water as necessary. So like I said, it's a very closely monitored balance that needs to be maintained at all times.
Yeah.
No.
Wow.
I hope I'm explaining it correctly.
No, yeah. Yeah, you are. Yeah. So, that's some of the things that, I've kind of looked into is, in permaculture and permaculture design is to just try to capture as much water on your land as possible. And, looking at like things like swales and things like that to try to conserve a lot of water, and then setting up your gray water systems. I'm a big fan of a guy, Jeff Lawton, that does a lot of that stuff. And so, I'm really into learning about the permaculture aspects of a lot of that. And just, yeah, so you can kind of, I guess you can weather those drought times a little better. But yeah, I guess, do you guys do any of that kind of stuff on your farm? Do you do any of the swales or anything?
What do you mean by doing any of the soils? I don't think I completely understand.
There's okay, so it's just in permaculture design and how you lay out the land. It's just basically a soil hill that you put, and you kind of just you just dig a trench along a contour line, and then it's supposed to help concentrate a pool of water when you have rainfall more towards the roots of the trees, so that they can hold more of that water on the land. And it's just one of these concepts in permaculture design that the guys that like Jeff Lawton talk about. So I didn't know
Well,
if you
I'm
were
not.
familiar with that or not.
I'm not familiar by his way of doing it, but we do have similar practices that we do when it comes to the garden beds, how they're situated, what we add to the topsoil, as well as damming around the mango orchards themselves, and also adding mulch at the right time when needed. And you know so it sounds like it might be a similar process, but I'll have to go look into the process that you're talking about to understand completely where you're heading with that.
Okay. Yeah, I just didn't know if you're familiar with that. It's something that something that I'm interested in trying to do. We at my parents' place, we planted several fruit trees as well, and did this where we mounded up the soil, and then we kind of we dug a trench and created a mound on the change in elevation or the contour line. And it seems to be doing, the trees seem to be doing pretty well. We haven't had rain in like 3 or 4 weeks or something here, and the trees seem to be doing really well with it. And so it's just something cool that I was looking at and doing. I'm an extreme noob coming into this farming thing, but I really want to get a little enterprise going with some fruit trees and doing like blackberries and goji berries and some different things like that. And I'd love to have some goats and all that. Do you guys do you guys also do like different products with do you do the goat's milk and different products with that?
I don't at the moment. No, but that's mainly because I really don't like the taste of goat's milk or goat's milk products.
Oh yeah.
So I think that's a personal preference. The majority of our goats is for meat purposes, and of
Okay.
course entertainment because they are so awesome.
They're pretty silly
It's
creatures.
kind of Yeah, they are. It kind of makes me feel bad to eat them, but it's either me or them, and it's
Yeah.
not going to be me.
Yeah.
When it comes to, sorry, just to get back to the trees and the soiling conditions, I think I do think I understand what you're saying about that, but because the trees, yeah, when planted, become dependent on underground water rather than topsoil irrigation. And because of that, I think that might be the reason why you're using a much different system. When it comes to the gardening crops, we also use a similar system to that, damming up and also like the strategically placed compost heaps also help to maintain the soil temperature, keep the soil temperature down, things like that. So yeah, there's a lot of the devil is in the details when it comes to farming, I suppose.
Oh yeah. So do you guys try to use a lot of mostly natural processes in your farming practices? Just doing your soil amendments with all the mostly compost and things like that.
Absolutely. For the biggest part of it, like I said, my plant foods I'm producing myself at the moment. My compost I'm producing myself at the moment. So those are all natural and coming from either farm excess or what
Yeah.
you have to work with. And even my pesticides, I've now started doing natural pesticides, which is a chili-based plant spray, which has been working wonders. I just need to start manufacturing that on a larger scale.
So
Which is interesting because it smells like crap. It's not something you want to be cooking in your kitchen.
yeah.
It will have you gagging.
So what kind of chilies are you using?
I had quite a bit of excess on Serrano chilies from one of my grow nets, and that's what I have been using for. And then I've also put in a lot of sensations. So the next batch would be sensation and Serrano mix on the not sensations, passions and Serranos.
For your pesticide, is it just are you just using water in the chili mix, or is there something else to it?
Yeah, no. It's basically just your chilies. I roughly chop that up.
Okay.
Add quite a few cloves of whole garlic into the mix, and you boil that up. After you've boiled it up, it will go through a natural fermentation process for a little bit, and then you can bottle it and use it as an insecticide.
Very cool.
Marigolds, making a marigold tea also aids quite well in that.
Oh, wow. I didn't even think about the using the marigolds as making a tea like that, or the chilies. So the chili concoction is working pretty good for you?
Yeah, it really is. The garlic serves as a deterrent. My English is horrible today. The garlic serves as a deterrent, and the chili itself basically irritates or kills the insects. For bigger insects, it would just irritate them enough to find another spot to go chow. And for your smaller insects, it would and your smaller insects are normally the ones that end up doing more damage because they go unnoticed for up until the point where it's almost too late for the plant. So for the smaller insects like your plant lice and things like that, it would just burn them off completely.
Oh, very cool. I'm taking notes here. I definitely.
It also
wanna-
does very well when it comes to mold on plants. If you are in an area where you're getting a lot of rainfall or you have a problem with mold in your gardens, the
Oh.
chili tea helps for that as well.
Oh, that's very interesting. Because I know garlic has like antibiotic properties, so I guess it's partially that the garlic and the garlic chili mix that blasts it out. That's very
Well, it works, that's for sure.
yeah, cool. I'm gonna definitely try that out. I've been using.
If you do, just do it outside. Trust me on this one. Just trust me.
Make up the
You-
batch outside.
Just do it outside. You don't want to be doing this in your house.
Smells for
It
weeks.
acts. No, it's not. It's not a very very lasting smell. But it serves as a pepper spray. So your eyes are watering and you coughing and you can't breathe around the pot, and it's just horrible, and it's a hideous smell. It's definitely not something you want to be spilling on yourself either. If I was a bug, I would stay away from that shit as well.
Oh dang, that's yeah, definitely stay away from the garlic pepper mixture. So so you're gonna get back. You got your computer running again. So you're gonna be posting more of your journey, I guess, on Steam It here.
I'm hoping so. I think one of my biggest obstacles, I guess, is getting pictures at the right time, because a lot of the things, when you really get in there and your hands is like dirty up to your elbows, starts getting a little bit difficult to take the pictures and everything that goes with the post. And then a lot of times I would just leave it at that. I'm not posting as often as I would like to. But yeah, I'm gonna try to get back into it.
Cool.
But it's all, I think, based on availability of time.
Yeah, I hear you. It sounds like you're up to your ass in crocodiles. So yeah, you're running all over the place. So I saw that you said that you were working on a song or something though, as well, a new song.
Oh yes, it's already been written. I just need to get to a point of recording it,
Okay.
and then putting it together with David Farr.
Okay.
Been working with him on a few songs. He's absolutely fantastic to work with, easygoing and very 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 tolerant towards my ignorance. So I appreciate him so much for that.
Yeah.
And he's just a magician, I think, when it comes to making me sound a lot better than what I actually do.
Okay. So do you just do your own recording? Do you have like a little studio or a booth or something that you do your recording in, and you just send that over to him and he puts together some beats and stuff?
Okay, don't laugh. But remember, I am this is the extent of my technical abilities. But yeah, the recordings are mostly done while sitting on my bed on the very same microphone that I'm talking to you with now.
Nice. Yeah.
Or alternatively, just on my phone. So I normally wait until 2:00 in the morning when everything that needs to shut up does. And then I try to get the best recording that I possibly can. He normally makes me do it over like 20 times. So does
Yeah.
so does Globo. But it's frustrating. And then after the song, you think, I'm not doing that again. And then until the next song, and you kind of just go through it again.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. That's really neat. So it is. So this is the person. It's the person you've connected with through Discord and stuff like that, I guess.
Yeah, it is one of the amazing musicians that I've encountered on the platform. I've done quite a few collaborations. I've done a few collaborations with Soundwaves. I've done one with Thomas Robert Gent, which was more spoken word that he was using. I've got a few more offers of doing collabs at the moment, but like I said, time is is
Yeah.
a huge factor in my life.
Wow. That's really cool. That's something that you really enjoy too, huh?
Yeah, it is. I think it's still very exciting and very new. And it's got a lot to do about exploring my own depths when it comes to things like that. Because, like I said, I was never musically educated or schooled,
Yeah.
and I think my life is pretty much a series of random events, and the same applies to when it comes to music. And I think the biggest thing is not saying no when a new opportunity arises and going like, I'm willing to try. It might
Right.
be a complete blunder, but I'm willing to try. And
Yeah.
once you get that mindset going, you realize that you can accomplish so much more than what you initially thought.
Yeah, absolutely. I also really enjoy singing and want to convince Crimson Clad to do a karaoke night one night on MSP Waves on her Thursday night show.
I missed that. Damn it. Damn you, time zone.
Yeah, we're so yeah, I guess it's like what time is it for you over there? Is it getting late?
Well, it's only 9 p.m., so it's
Oh, okay.
way before my bedtime.
Yeah. I gotcha. Yeah, maybe we can sweet talk Crimson Clad into having a karaoke one night, and we can belt out some jams. But Breeze, I really appreciate you coming on the show and chatting with me. It's really good to get to know you better and get to bend your ear about all that you're farming and everything. It's something that I'm working my way towards, and definitely going to be learning a lot and trying to grow.
Well, my doors are always open, so if there's anything that I can help with that's not technology based,
Yeah.
I'll be glad to help.
Oh, most excellent. And I will, I'll definitely get with you, and maybe we can chat back and forth about the wood gasification and figuring out maybe a system that you could use as a baseline to, try to shop around and maybe find some deals on for your solar, and just, helping you get more energy independent at your place.
That would be absolutely amazing, because in all honesty, I can use all the help I can get right now.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, you're definitely into a lot of stuff. It's cool that you love to do that metalwork and all that stuff. I just got into doing some of that myself this year, and I am amazed at welding and striking the arc, and it's almost like you're an alchemist. It feels like you're doing alchemy when you're welding.
Yeah, I guess you can look at it like that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call it a a perfected skill yet, but yes, I'll get there.
Yeah. A big mistake I made was welding in shorts, and I got the burns, the weld burns, all on my legs. So, like I said, I like to learn lessons the hard way.
Yeah, grinding without glasses and welding without shorts, or with shorts at least. Two big no-nos.
Yeah. At least I had the helmet right, so it didn't blind myself. So, but yeah, it's always fun learning new things, and I really enjoy getting to meet people like yourself that are out there and doing things, and and just trying to live a more self-sufficient way. And I really appreciate you coming on the show again. And if there's anything else that you'd like to leave with everybody before we sign off, go for it.
Putting me on the spot, yeah. No.
I don't know.
I suppose just, just nature looks after us so well, and people should just start looking after nature better. I suppose that's something that I'm becoming, even though it's been something that I've been aware of my entire life, it's something that's of such impeccable importance that I'm just becoming more aware of on a daily basis. And conservation does start with education. If you don't know that you need there is help needed, then you're not going to know to offer your help. So make yourself aware of what is going on around you and protect the world that we're living in, man. Yeah.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you so much, Breeze. And I hope you have a good evening and can get some more good sleep.
Oh, trust me, me too. But thank you very much for having me on. Have a great evening.
Yeah. Thank you again, and thank you everybody that was in the audience today. I know we had some people join that I didn't get to say hi to. Big Tom 13, I see you just joined us. Patient Zero, thank you for being here for the show. Peachy, thank you. Rondon, Spider Bat, and Team Humble, and Robbie, man. Sorry if all your technical issues, man, but the deep state of Discord's got you going. But thanks everybody again, and you got Crimson Cloud coming up next with a Steamwave Saturday, and so stay tuned next week for another episode of Meadows and Makers. And thank you guys again. I'll catch you later and play you guys out with a track. Awake by Divine and Jump Feathers.